You're listening to Permission to Shine, the podcast. Stories of overcoming obstacles and finding self-empowerment with Sherisse Bisram, Inner Power Activation Leader. The Oxford Dictionary describes permission as the action of officially allowing someone to do a particular thing, consent, authorization. What if you were that someone and you gave yourself the permission to be everything you wanted to be and more? No more playing small and accepting less than. You are worthy of the life of your dreams, regardless of what it is that you've been through. And honestly, it's exactly what you've been through that has shaped you into the version of yourself that you are now. Like a diamond, you've endured so much, but instead of breaking, you have become stronger and brighter. And if that's not a reason to shine, then I don't know what is. And if nature can do it, then why the hell can't you? You are brave, you are strong, you are powerful, and you are enough. Hear my call and give yourself the permission to shine, because you don't realise how many people are inspired by your light. Hi everyone, we are back and I'm so excited to introduce to you the amazing Cathy Nesbitt. And I came across Cathy and she has the most incredible combination of career pathways I've ever come across. And I'd love for Cathy to tell you a little bit more about it, but it involves a lot of laughter and also some worms. So Cathy, please do introduce yourself to the audience.
Thank you, Sherisse. I'm so excited to be here. So my working title is Cathy Crawley Laughing Bean Queen. I offer simple solutions for today's challenges: worms for indoor composting, sprouts for eating, and laughter for overall health and wellness. And, you know, it's the 22nd anniversary of my worm business.
I love that. And I love your introduction as well. I feel like that was amazing. It surpassed my one, that's for sure, which I love. And for those of us obviously listening in the UK, would you like to just tell us where you are in the world right now?
Yes, I'm in Canada, Ontario, just north of Toronto.
Amazing. Love that. And what's the weather like there for you right now?
It's smoking hot. We're having a heat wave. It's 30 degrees this week.
Wow.
We're not used to it. We don't have air conditioning. Most people do, but we don't. We have windows. But when it's smoking hot and humid.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're jealous because as hot as it gets here is about 18 degrees and it still feels cold. But you know what? We're not complaining. The sun's out and that's the best thing ever. But I'd love to know about your story, Cathy. Like, how did you come about falling into the laughter business and obviously your 22nd anniversary of the worm business? Like, how did it all begin and why?
Yeah, so the laughter came about because of the worms. So in 2012, the worms, just so people are listening going, what the heck with the worms? It's indoor composting. You know, our landfill closed in 2002 and Canada's a large country. We couldn't find a place to site a new landfill. And we started to export our garbage to the US. And I had a solution: indoor composting with worms. And I set forth without any business acumen. I just was like, oh, people need this. And then 2012, 10 years into my worm business, one more person said, ew, worms in the house. And I felt it. I heard it. I questioned everything. Sherisse, I was like, what the heck? How am I going to do this? Universe, help me. I don't know what to do here. And the very next day I was introduced to laughter yoga. I don't do traditional yoga. I do a lot of stuff. I just don't do yoga per se. And I was like, what is laughter yoga? That sounds right up my alley. It sounds super fun. So it's not about jokes or comedy. It's laughing as an exercise. It's a cardiovascular workout. And I just jumped right in. I found a club close to where I lived, close to where my mother-in-law lived, actually, in Toronto. And so it was our date night. We would go out for dinner, then we'd go to Laughter Club. And it was so wonderful. And it changed everything for me. It changed my life. Laughter is the most amazing practice. I mean, it's fun. It connects us. We breathe on a deeper level, and we're secreting the love drugs when we're laughing versus, the stress hormones. And when we can't be in both systems at the same time. We're either in our relaxed mode, rest and digest, or we're in fight or flight. And we get to decide. That's the beautiful part. Yeah, so started in 1995 by a medical doctor. And his goal is world peace. This laughter movement, it's a global mission, and there are clubs in over 120 countries now.
I love that so much. And I think you've just hit the nail on the head there with everything I teach as well, about how we're in the fight or flight response all of the time. We don't realize we're constantly in a state of stress. So to intentionally put yourself in a room where you are laughing and feeling those endorphins of yourself, but also everyone else around you, like, what a beautiful practice. I'm sure you've made some incredible friends from that space, haven't you?
I have. So when you get trained as a laughter leader, there's kind of a principle that you'll have a laughter club, like, and a free laughter club, started in India. So there was lots of space and whatnot. It's not really practical in other parts of the world, where you have to rent space. We have winter, so doing it outside in the winters, maybe that's only for the really hardy folks.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I said, universe, I do enough for free. I don't want to have a free club. I want paid gigs. So you get what you ask for. I got all these paid gigs going into long-term care, schools, working with special needs. So much fun. And then
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah.
Then 2020, everything shut down. I was doing between 100 and 200 events before 2020. I was busy. I
Yeah.
thought I had to be everywhere, so I was. And then, yeah, nothing was going on. So I was like, okay, maybe it's time for my club. And prior to 2020, there was very few opportunities to laugh online,
Mm.
right? And then now here we are, everybody jumped online, and we're so adaptable. I think humans are amazing people. Now we just need to use our smarts for good to help the planet rather than, damaging. But that's
Yeah.
another podcast episode.
No, you're speaking my language, Cathy. This is all of my language. And I think this is why I connect with certain people, because we're all into this connection, aren't we? Like, our bigger mission is how can we help the wider society and the world as a whole. So I think that's definitely probably what I was drawn to with you as well, let alone obviously all of the amazing things that you're doing right now that I love. Because even that the indoor composting, like, that's such a great idea. Like, I actually personally, when you said about the worms, I was thinking, cool, this woman collects worms. That's amazing. Like, didn't realize what it was that you actually did. So I love that, because again, that's you physically helping the planet as well. So it's just, yeah, you're this beautiful spirit, earth spirit, angel person, definitely, for sure. I can feel that. And those of you that obviously aren't watching on YouTube, you won't see your image, but you definitely have that about you, just energetically. So that's really lovely. I feel really grateful that I've been able to have this conversation with you today, because I think it's very needed for what you have to share. But I would love to pull back your story a little bit further into why the laughter yoga was so impactful for you, in regards to maybe your upbringing, or how you lived. Maybe you were in corporate and that stress level, and obviously meeting that changed your life. I'd love to know a little bit deeper of your story on that part.
Yeah, so I'm kind of just freewheeling, and I'm very, as most entrepreneurs, I think, are empaths. I think most people that want to serve are empathic, and we just feel the need. And so I'm very open, and my heart was very open. And, I came with this worm mission. It was given to me. I mean, like these things are, and we either go with it, or I think we get sick if we're like, no, I don't want to do that. So I embraced my worm mission, and I still, to this day, I love it. I feel like, you said I'm kind of an earth angel. I feel like I have the earth looked after with the worms, taking care of the organic matter, creating beautiful soil, growing more nutrient-rich food. And then the laughter part is, I mean, it's high vibration, magic medicine. So it's kind of like heaven and earth all in one. Um, and so I'm very sensitive. So when people would say, "Ooh, worms in the house," I think I took it personal. I think it kind of hit me personal. And I know they say don't take it, it's not personal. It is when somebody's saying "ooh" to your face. It certainly feels that way. So laughter really helped me to become more resilient, to not take it personal. Oh, that's not my stuff. They're not ready for the worms yet. That's okay. How about laughter? And now, because of 2020 and the global mental health tsunami that we have, I feel that that's my mission right now, is to work on, the priorities. You can only work on one thing at a time. And my priority right now is helping the planet heal mentally through laughter. It's not about talking, and talk therapy is fine, nothing against that. It's just then you need to go into the issue. With the laughter, it allows us to just be present. We can't laugh and be thinking about, like, be laughing full on and think about yesterday or tomorrow, right? We're right here, right now. It oxygenates our beautiful brain so we can come up with more solutions. Because again, when we're stressed, we're afraid, we're closed off, and nothing's flowing. And I use the example of keys. Ever lost your keys, phone, glasses, and you're flapping around? You got to go, but you can't find your keys. Where are they? You're yelling at everyone. You're getting more stressed as you're searching, and your brain is literally deprived of oxygen. It can't help you.
I love all of that so much, and you're speaking my language, because that's exactly kind of how I fell into this space of the work that I do now because of 2020. Like, I've been a professional dancer for 11 years. I was planning on, well, it's probably 10 years then. Well, even less than that, actually. How long had I been I don't know. Anyway, however long that was ago. And I'd been a professional dancer all that time, and I was planning to move to LA. And then obviously the pandemic hit, and I couldn't do that anymore. So as you're speaking about the universe so openly there, that's exactly my experience. I was like, okay, universe, what's next? And what kept coming up for me was my ability to connect with people. And I'd always been told in any class that I'd teach, as well as obviously dance, and I was dance teaching as well. There was always saying to me, you give so much more than just dance. Like, you're always giving so much value and humanness, And I was like, wow, that's the part there. So I dived into my healing journey within the pandemic time frame, and went back into my masters, learned about myself, about empowerment on a deeper level. So then what I realized was I'd actually experienced so much more life than a lot of people ever had, even, 50 years on from where I am, and that wisdom that I'd gained from that, which I believe transcends my human experience now. I believe it was obviously past life things as well that's added to this experience to be able to help me to guide other women in this space, to find solutions-based approach to mental health and well-being. So when you just said then about it's great you can talk to people, but there's something so much deeper that we can access. And I feel like my what I do is that solution-based approach, and individual, like not everyone's gonna find the same way. So I feel like in a way we're both presenting releases to this sort of environment that we all live in now. Like, as we said, that stress emotion makes us feel caged, and I feel like we're both creating a freedom from that space in our own way, which just feels really synchronized in its own space. And I love that laughter as a practice is just a thing. Like, I've heard about it before, but hearing about it so much more and feeling your energy around it, I feel like I need to know about more of that around here, and I need to either create that around here myself, or I need to be just pointing people in that direction, because I think so many people would benefit from these spaces. Because yeah, I mean, obviously as well, people can join you online. That's even better, because then they get a little taste of what it is you do. And obviously we'll put all of your links in the bio. But I just think that as a whole, we haven't been conditioned to prioritize looking after ourselves. So I feel like the laughter is the bridge across to that journey. Like, it's like, okay, well, how about you just try something a little bit different? You're going to have fun, because obviously you're going to be laughing the whole time. And actually, if you end up, releasing all of these stresses and overthinking that you've been bottling up for your whole life, if that ends up getting released as a byproduct of you having a great time, then sign me up, right? So I think that, yeah, what you're doing is so fantastic. And yeah, even with the worm business, it's so important. And I love how you've made that connection for yourself in your understanding of being an empath. Obviously you can feel so deeply from you, and your mission here on earth, for sure. But I think the fact that laughter has supported your mission even more so, and gave you another route in all of this. It just shows that, you know, the only way is up, right, in all of this for you, which I just think is so wonderful. But again, obviously I like to do the gritty conversation and ask the hard questions. So I'd just like to know, in this space of everything you're doing and maybe you taking care of you, has there been any obstacles that you've had to overcome for yourself within this space of, you know, your practices that you teach and you live?
Yeah, it seems that my offerings are so simple, and we're looking for something not simple. We're looking for something that's complicated, that has components that you plug in, or that, I don't know, that's high tech. And that's not what I'm offering. I'm offering worms. Like I had somebody once ask me if I invented this, if I created, and I didn't understand the question. Like, did I make worms? I'm powerful, but not that powerful. You know, all of my offerings, the worms and the sprouts and the laughter, are very simple. And I think they need explanation because they're so simple. You know, like, just laugh and I can feel better. That's right. Yeah. Imagine you don't have, like, so English is a wonderful language. I'm going to say a couple of phrases and I'll break it down. But the first one is no laughter, no problem. No laughter, no problem. So N-O laughter, K-N-O-W problem. K-N-O-W laughter, N-O problem. And laughter doesn't take your problems away. It opens up your brain so solution can come in. You're right back to the stress. Laughter is the opposite of stress. So it's very funny because now with laughter, I thought, this will be so great. And it is. Explanation is required. People will say, I laugh all the time. Do you? Like, really, do you really laugh all the time where your stomach's hurting? Because if your stomach's not hurting, those are the laughter muscles, and your cheeks, you know, where your cheeks are hurting, and maybe you're crying a little bit because you're laughing so hard. If you're not, you know, when we're watching a comedy or if we're at a comedy show, we're going to get kicked out if we're doing our laughter yoga, because laughter yoga is just laughing. They're going to be like, okay, ma'am, the joke is over. So it's fascinating when I go to market the laughter. It's really being creative of how do I let them know that this is something so simple that they can apply to their life. Coming to a club makes it much easier. Even as a laughter professional, it's a challenge to laugh on my own. Like, just to get my giggle on, you know, if you're doing sit-ups or you're dancing or you're doing something, it's different. But just laughing for no reason, it's a little bit hard on your own, even as a trained professional.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love all of that. Everything you just said there, the stories were lovely. And I was like, I was like, yes. And I was laughing with you at the time, but I was on mute, so you didn't hear me. So I just wanted to let you know that was what I was doing as well. So I was completely agreeing. And I love your statement that you had there about the no laughter, no problem. That was amazing. And as you were speaking, one of my things that I say come up in my head, and it was how the opposite of stress is expressed. So I feel like that is kind of the connection there, isn't it? Is that you open yourself up to just receive so much more. And I'm definitely up for coming to this laughter club for sure, because I feel like, I was just thinking about lovely moments in my life and the friends I've got that I do have those really deep belly laughs with, and just little moments in my life. But it's funny, isn't it? Because I don't take life seriously for someone that's had a very serious life. But there's still moments where I could laugh more. But actually, in this, you might agree, you might disagree, but I find the people that have been through the most pain and have, you know, opened up to this space are the ones that are able to laugh the most. And I know that that's a very broad statement, but in my opinion, you know, when I look at my family and things like that, we really just, we seize the moment, you know, we're very much those people, and we prioritize time together because we've lost a lot of members of family. So together we just yeah, make sure we are, even if it's just a little giggle here and there, we're not serious people from people that have had serious situations, you know? So I think that that's a really nice way to look at things. And I know that that choice to be that version of you comes from choosing to not be a victim and to not let life happen to you, but to, you know, seize that experience and choose a better. So I feel like for anyone listening that's in that space, maybe not sure, and you've heard about this now for the first time, I would say choose to give it a go. And then you never know what will come of it, right? Because even if it just, you went to one session and you thought it's not for me, but you ended up feeling incredible just for that one-off thing, or it planted a seed for you to be like, you know what, maybe I do need to prioritize being in this space a bit more. And I loved what you said about the comedy show, you know, when they'd be like, man, that's enough. I've been that person before. I feel like it was a film with Kevin Hart and Will Ferrell. It was Die Hard, I think it's called, and it's like he was teaching him how to be cool for prison. And I remember it was just my sense of humor on the head. And I remember being in the cinema, absolutely stomach laughing, and everyone staring at me because they're like, "What is she doing?" Because I just found it absolutely hysterical. But yeah, you can't really laugh like that just in everyday life, can you?
Well, that's it. Yes. You know, we can, it's interesting how you can walk into a room and if somebody's having a bad day, you can feel it. Same if somebody's won the lottery or they just got a promotion, they're feeling great, they're euphoric. You can feel it. It's energy.
Mm.
Yeah, it's really amazing how we want to put blocks in the way, like, oh, that's not for, I tried that once. It's like, well, you wouldn't go to yoga just once, or you wouldn't just do deep breathing once and you're done, or go for a jog once and, oh, good, that's off my list. You know, this is a practice, and the first time you go to a laughter club, it can be awkward, which is why Zoom is such a beautiful space. You're in your own home, you're in your little Zoom room, you can have your camera on or off. On is preferably because we want to connect and see each other. Yeah, it's interesting how we love the struggle. Not all, but some people really think that that's their story, that unless they have a story of, oh, I'm so tired and I work so hard and, you know, all these things, we think that that's a badge of honor because that's how
Absolutely.
society has, you know, trained us. But really, and we don't look at self-care is kind of down the list. It used to be considered selfish if you know, took time for yourself. But if we don't look after ourselves, you know, we're I that's something, you know, I'm 61 and I really want younger people to understand that you don't have to hit rock bottom. Why? What are these expressions? Oh, only one place
Absolutely.
to go from there. No, go from where you are and go up. Don't wait to hit rock bottom.
100%. You are speaking my language, Cathy, 100%. And I think that so many people say to me, when I'm ready, I'll do the work. I'm like, let me tell you, if you don't choose to do the work will come to you. And exactly that thing. People are waiting to be at rock bottom to actually lift themselves up, not realizing they're going to have extra weight to carry, whereas they just chose to find the solutions that work for them now. And that will give them the route, the journey, right? So into a better place. And I think that all of what I think we're talking about here is just tools, right? It's just tools that we accumulate that we know work for us, because life is going to happen. Not everything is going to be perfect all of the time, but I think for both of us, we're saying that actually there's solutions here. And if you know these solutions work for you, if you know that actually this is going to be a very stressful week for me, I'm going to make sure I book in my laughter yoga this week. So I've definitely got that in there. So that's you being a smart voyager, knowing that the journey is going to be a little bit treacherous, but actually at the end there's some respite. I feel like that's just you thinking ahead, isn't it? And we get so caught up, like you said, in the stress, the being in the stress, and we identify as being in the stress and all of those things. And exactly what you said there about the badge of honor, that's how I talk about my life before I did the healing journey. I used to be the hardest working person anyone ever knew because I wore that as a badge of honor. And actually, I literally did a post about it yesterday, and I said, where did it get me? Stressed and overwhelmed. and burnt out all of the time. So now I'm in a space where even now, like I'm launching my free masterclass at the moment, and I'm just in a space of really relaxing into it. I'm not thinking about, oh my gosh, I need everyone here. I'm like, do you know what? This is a really great opportunity. I'd love more people to be in this space with me. That's it. That's the end. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't need to be any push or force. It's like, that's really my dream in this vision, is that, again, like you, I can have more people that, you know, see the importance of why we do what we do and why it's important and how it can help them. And that's it, isn't it? It doesn't need to be a big stressful thing that, you know, at the start of my business journey, I was thinking, oh, I need to do this, this, and this. But actually, that's me overthinking and creating a bigger problem than it needs to be. Because as you keep saying, it does get to be simple. And our human experience has made everything so much more complicated. So I'd say for anyone listening right now, it's like, you know, pause, breathe, laugh if you can, and then look at the situation again. Because how much weight are you putting onto it that's making it a problem versus, is it just a thing? You know, like I don't know if you have the saying over there as well, but we say about making a mountain out of a molehill. You know, we're looking at this like little tiny bump in the road thinking, wow, it's a volcano. It's not actually, it's not. You know, you can just step over that. But the more you look at it and the further away you are, you feel like it's really big. But you know, just walk towards it and you'll see it's not as big of a deal as actually you're making it out to be completely.
Yeah, I think 2020 was a wonderful, I mean, it caused a lot of things, but it really allowed those that were willing to look to take a pause and go, wow, what is important? Before 2020, I think the people that were most affected during the lockdown were the ones that were going to work, everything was fine, they were taking the kids here and there, and they had the holiday and everything, their life was perfect. And they hadn't thought about the future. And I think it really gave people an opportunity to decide what is important. What do I want with my life? Because we don't know. We don't know what's coming. And why wait? It's really interesting how people are like, oh, everything's fine. Like, could it be better? Yes. But the same with the expressions, better the devil you know than the one you don't know. No, the one you don't know might be really nice.
Might not
and
be a devil
beneficial.
at all. Yeah, might not even be a devil.
Might not be a devil. Like, these expressions keep us in place. Like, the thing about you can't get a job without a job. How do you get experience? Or all of these expressions that keep us, especially for women, like don't rock the boat and be nice and no, stop it. Just live your life, be on purpose, attract the people you want to attract, be the person you want to be. Absolutely. I would say if we could just be nice, if we could just be more kind, imagine if we could see the person on the street that, instead of judging them. I often question, Sherisse, how do we go from, we see those little children, we're like, oh, look at those little children, they're so cute. When do they become not so cute and we're judging them? Oh, look at that guy.
No, I completely agree.
They were a little boy at one time, and now we're going, oh, look at them, they're the lazy bum or whatever we're saying about them. It's like, no, what is their story? Why did that?
I think you've really hit the nail on the head there as well about kindness. And I think that we, as women, as you said, we've misinterpreted niceness for being a people pleaser and being passive. And we mix that with kindness, thinking that's what kindness is. But actually, it's very separate entities. All of that is so very separate, isn't it? And it's the boundaries we place on those things that make it safe, comfortable, and I don't even like using those words, but make it a pleasant experience and beneficial versus making it a habitual self-sacrificing act, and I think that I feel like all of what we're teaching and leading with is the fact that when you open up a portal to receiving more information about yourself, for example, like tapping into the laughter yoga and opening up your neuro pathways, which I can imagine is what's happening in that experience, is that you're allowing yourself then to see more of what life is, what you deserve. And that's exactly the work that I do on a more solutions-based, step-by-step process, working with people, diving into their inner works, like that's kind of how I work. And I combine like movement and meditation, as well as obviously a little bit of talk therapy, but that's not what I lead with on that. But it's helping people to see that it's not the words that they think it is, like you were saying, like all of these little like words are 100% what's kept us trapped as a humankind, isn't it? And I call it the matrix, like we're tapped into this matrix. And if you step outside of the matrix, like you said, rocking the boat, like that's exactly it. And I feel like I've always been seen as someone that was, I guess, my term that was used for me a lot was aggressive as a girl, or bossy, like all of that, because I didn't follow the societal expectations or norms. And I remember being in rooms with people and even family and overstepping my mark, and I've put that in quotes, because what is a mark? Because disrespect is disrespect to me. And I've always been that person that's always called that out. But I've healed a lot in the space of how I deliver. I've always said the right thing. So how it was delivered was wrong, but what was always right. And I feel like that in people's minds as well is something that they just struggle with. And I feel a lot of people struggle with that with my delivery before, which I was mindful of, and I changed that. But kindness has always been on my forefront. And I think, how can we be a better human in this world to then help more humans? And I think it is an inward job, because I feel like when we are that, like, for example, you are that as a human being and a soul, your mission here is to make the world a better place, because you are intentionally making yourself a better person every day by the choices you're making. And I feel like if more people turned inward and understood themselves, they would then understand the rest of the world as a whole. And I feel like that's where this current shift is happening, I think, in the world right now, this rise of the feminine energy. The patriarchy is starting to crumble, the matriarchy is rising, people are starting to see people as human beings, as energy, as souls, not just like the labels that we put on them. And I do feel like that is coming up, and I think it will be this next generation of young people, not necessarily teenagers at the moment, but the generation under them, they're about to rise up and cause something really beautiful. So I do feel like that shift is happening. But absolutely, you're right, the judgment piece from the generation above us that I think was implemented and fed down has just tarnished. I feel like it's almost like you think about like a black dye or like green dye, and it's kind of like spread into the water, and it's kind of infected things. And I feel like we're now, these light workers, we're kind of trying to like purify as much as we can as possible. But again, I think it comes down to that self-awareness and a choice in who you are. But yeah, I definitely say it's the inner work that makes a difference. And again, it comes down to that choice, doesn't it, that we make?
It totally does. Things happen to us, and we're often comparing, oh, my trauma's worse than yours. No, how can that be? Trauma is trauma. And it's not comparing stories. It's like, let's just all heal and understand, like, have compassion for the person next door, and just be open to understanding what somebody else might be going through. I find it such a wonderful trip, now that I understand my role here, which is to look after me. I loved what you said, the understanding. Is that what you said? I love that. Right, because really, when it's only our journey, we only have ourselves. We're born alone, we die alone, as they say, and then whatever in between. But imagine if we could be whole ourselves, heal whatever it was that we were holding on to, because we're not taught how to do these things, not yet. I agree, the next generation is going to be so much different. We're already seeing these beautiful young souls making huge impact, like not standing anymore for what is, because it's not working. The system is really broken around the world. and
Absolutely.
with a few people in control, and that's not, we're not having it anymore.
No, absolutely that. It's like this rise of Aquarius energy is definitely bringing this forth, which is amazing. And exactly what you said there about the comparing of the trauma, that's something I speak about a lot as well. And I think it's that misery loves company, isn't it? People are so quick to moan about everything. And I feel like I'm very intentional about how much I moan, because I feel like there's an element that we need to vent about a situation and let it out of our body. And then there's a way of reframing that to make it the understanding, like it's okay to say that was a real inconvenience for me, but I'm glad that happened because I learned this. Or if I'm not glad it happened, I'm like, but that did make me more aware of the fact that I need to do this more. Like that's my kind of reframe on it. So I'm not declaring to the universe that I'm ungrateful. I'm just saying, okay, that was a bit annoying, but I did learn this. And I feel like if more people did that, that would help them a lot. But it's being aware of who you surround yourself with in those spaces, because so many people I walk into conversations with and they'll just be moaning for no reason about everything. Like you can go out for lunch and someone will be like, yes, sometimes the food isn't the best it could be. I get that. That's cool. But then if you're going to every single place you go to for lunch, everywhere, all of the time, and you're moaning about the food, it's either you're the problem or just don't go out and eat, just eat at home. Do you know what I mean? But I think the core is obviously the fact that they're just so ingrained to moan that they don't even realize that that's their reaction all of the time. So it's definitely that is so programmed into us, and it's again our choice, isn't it, to see
And we
something.
spiral down, right? Oh, you think that's bad? Wow, down you go.
Yeah,
I've started a thing where I'm like, oh, how about if we go, you think that's good? What about this story? And then you tell a
absolutely.
great story of, something good. And it really is changing our mind. That's, our brain is geared to negative. And
Mm-hmm.
that was a survival. We needed to know if we were in danger. We're not in danger now. I mean, some people might be, but for the most part, if you lose your keys, it's annoying, or you miss the bus, it's a nuisance, but it's not life-threatening.
Absolutely, that 100%. And I my thing now is, from being someone that was such an overachiever, overworking, just again this high cortisol level lifestyle. Now I'm like, I'll just be late. I can be okay with that. If it means me being stressed, I'm okay with being late. Now, there is a balance between that. I'm not someone that's late all the time, but if it's something casual that, maybe meeting friends for lunch, I can just drop the message and say, oh, gonna be 10 minutes late. Sorry about that. Do you want to order me a coffee while you wait? Do you know what I mean? Like there's a way to do a dance here that feels human. And I think that's it. We so want to be perfect and we want to have it all figured out, but actually, what is that anyway? So I think it's just dropping that. And I love what you said about, you think that's amazing, how about this? Like that's just a lovely way. And obviously we don't want to be feeding too much ego there, but we want to be opening up beautiful experiences, don't we? So we can have nicer conversations. And that's something I do. Like if I hear people moaning, I'm like, oh, but did you not like that? Wasn't that amazing? And then it just instantly shifts. Or if you have someone in your life that is always moaning to you about what you're doing, so for example, condescending, I always get them to ask the other person a question about themselves. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'll say, say they're moaning at you, saying, you should have done this, you should have done that. Oh, by the way, you didn't tell me how your day was. Boom. Instant change, shifting conversation, shifting dynamic. It makes the person then look inward and actually changes the complete dynamic of a conversation. And a lot of people that have done that, especially my clients, they're like, oh my gosh, like I didn't even know that this person, for example, it was their parent, I didn't even know that they'd ever been to France before, and they're telling me this story, and I wouldn't have known that if I didn't ask them that conversation. So thank you for creating these openings and changes of dynamics. And it is that, isn't it? We can change. It's like a ship. We've got the steering wheel, we can turn it. I would wish I knew the right correct term for that. We can steer it in any direction we want.
Yeah, I feel like people are waiting for their life to start. They're like, oh, my husband and I like you, it seems like we're similar. I was kind of outside the box. I was a people pleaser and all of that, but I still didn't understand all of those expressions. So I did my life and I traveled a lot in the 80s. And my husband and I, at 27, we quit our jobs and we traveled for 13 months in Africa and Asia.
Love that.
And the things that people said, it was like, oh, I'm going to travel when I retire. And, okay, but that's 40 years from now. Like, you're just going to work now? You're not, what? Oh, when I retire, I'll live my life. It's like, you might not make retirement, first of all. Like, and I didn't even think about, so the account at the company I was working for said, these are your prime earning years. You're never going to make this money back again. I was like, oh, I don't understand that thinking. Like, what about the education that I'm going to get by traveling around the world?
Absolutely.
By myself, like with my husband, but on our own volition, not in a tour or whatever. Anyway, I didn't realize, I didn't put into play because I didn't have that foresight, but what about the environmental degradation? Like, there's places that I was that are totally different now. You can't either go there, they're dangerous, there's a war there now, or, you know, things change so much. And from 27 to 65, you have different ideas. Like, I wouldn't even be able to travel at the same, I wouldn't want to travel at the same rate that I traveled at, like carrying my 40-pound pack, and no.
Yeah, I love that so much, Cathy. You're speaking my language, because that's exactly the same. I mean, I traveled a lot through being a professional dancer all this time, but also me just taking time out and just doing those long trips with a backpack and exploring. And there's something so rich about that version of travel, because a lot of people will say, like your friends that said, I'll wait till they retire. It's like that luxury version of travel where you don't see the real country. You just see the shiny
You're on
hotel.
a bus, you're on the bus, off the bus.
Yeah.
Someone put your bags on.
Exactly that. And you just see the nice hotels and you see the little touristy bits. You don't see the real bit. You don't eat the street food with the people and be immersed in it. And I always remember being in Thailand and seeing these kids playing with a cardboard box sign, you know, and they were having the best time. And that was laughter in its purest form and all of those beautiful things. And I think that gives you so much more context of what life is really about. You know, we in the Western world are so caught up on, again, the accolades, the achievements, the, you know, being in the company for how many years and earning that much money. But actually, that's not what happiness is it? You know, you can live so low cost in somewhere in the world. And I guess maybe we can't create that in the Western world as much as we can in, you know, out in other places. But that is richness. That is, you know, that travel, that exploration that you've had in your life. That is what people would pay millions to try and create in their own life, if only they'd made that choice and taken that risk to be able to do that.
Yeah, if not now, when?
Absolutely that.
If, like, you know, oh, one day I'm going to do this. One day never comes. One day, someday. Stop it. You know, when people say to me, if I meet friends and they're like, oh, someday we should go for lunch, or it's like, well, get your book out, because someday never, there's no someday in the calendar. Like, when, someday when?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, do you want to, or you're just saying it as a nice thing to say?
Absolutely that. And that's the thing about being intentional, right? I think I'm exactly the same as you. I'm like, right, guys, I'm busy. So if you want to do something, I need the date in my diary now. And my best friends were all the same. It's not just oh, it'd be really nice to do that one day. And don't get me wrong, if you've got an acquaintance, it'd be like, oh, it'd be nice to see you again one day. Maybe that'll happen. That's leaving up to the universe and chance, and maybe that'll fall into place. That's something that's nice to say to someone that you don't really need to see all the time. But a friend that you want to meet up with, I'm like straight away, like, okay, any friends that we need to reschedule straight away, we're like, can you do this day, this day, this day? Because we know that how it goes, because we don't, again, want to wait, you know, a couple of months and, you know, even years go by. And I've changed so drastically in, you know, in the last few weeks, months, years. I can't, you know, the person that someone knew me back at, you know, even a few, like I said, months ago, wouldn't know the version of me now. They didn't keep up to date with how I'm changing and evolving. That's a me thing for sure. But life changes, life happens, exactly as you said. And I feel like I learned very young, because I had so much death happen in my family, that life isn't promised. So I do have that ethos too, as you do, as in, like, seize the moment, because, you know, I'd rather try and pursue everything that I'm trying to do now and be known for trying to do it and making a little slight impact now than waiting till I had the right resources or the investment or whatever, because that part doesn't matter. No one's going to remember, you know, the big shiny things. People always remember how you made them feel. I always, you know, stick by that. So I think I just show up as me always, you know, in everything for that reason, because I think that's important.
Yeah, it is. Live your life. Do what you want. Like, what do you want to do? Don't live under somebody else's dream of your life. Like your parents didn't get to do the thing. They didn't get to be a lawyer or go to school. So now you got to do that on that, like, and they're going to live vicariously. Nope, that's too bad for them that they didn't have a chance.
Absolutely.
You know, and not to be, you know, cruel or whatever. It's just, you know, and I think it must be a challenge for when families emigrate to a new country and the pressure on those children to succeed because their parents, you know, and they did give a lot up to move to a new country and maybe new language, new culture, everything new. There is a lot of pressure on immigrant families for sure, on everybody. It's just there's kind of an added element. Yeah, it's a fascinating world, and I really would love for people to like give themselves permission to shine, like your podcast name, like really just what do you want and really go after it, like take a step and then get the momentum going. It doesn't have to be a big investment, a big thing, just like write down a plan, like what is it that you want? Because if it's not written down, it's like a cloud, it's going away.
Exactly that.
You
Exactly
got to
that.
capture it.
100%. Everything you said is just like I said it myself, which I love. And again, it's that 1%, isn't it? If 1% every day you did something that would benefit you or benefit your future, that just, again, that trajectory would be massive over the course of your life. I think this is where people get stuck because they're looking at that big end goal, thinking, how do I get there? Not realizing that it's the small little details that get them there and open up the doorway. So yes, I've so loved talking to you, Cathy, and I feel like we're definitely on the same vibe, which I absolutely adore. But I'd love for you to tell people how they can work with you. Obviously, I'm going to pop all the notes in, but again, just to recap, how people can connect with you.
Yeah, I have my laughter page is a great one. It's cathysclub.com. And I have a free laughter club every Tuesday morning, or well, wherever you are in the world, it's afternoon for UK, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 30 minutes of super fun self-care. It's on Zoom. I incorporate tapping, brain gym, Qigong, just to help people get out of stress and into joy. There's no pressure. I don't follow up. You're not in a funnel. I'm not going to bug you. Just come and enjoy. It's 4 years. I started June 2020, and I get about 20 or 25 people every week, and not the same people. It's very exciting. I never knew who's going to arrive, but I have a global laughter club now, and I'm also a laughter teacher. So if anybody's interested in learning this magic medicine, it's a 2-day training, and that's ongoing. I do it sort of quarterly. Online,
Nice.
and I do in person if anyone wanted to come to Canada.
Yeah, nice. I feel like it's opened up a little doorway for me. I might be one of your people that comes to be a teacher in the future. I'm going to see what happens with that because I feel like that might be another avenue for sure.
It's
I love the sound of
complementary.
it.
Absolutely, with a dance teacher or a yoga teacher or a school teacher, in corporations. I mean, you can just add laughter. You don't necessarily have to do a laughter club half hour or an hour. It can be a few minutes at the beginning of a meeting.
Yeah, I'm thinking as well for my clients, you know, when I'm working with like trauma healing and things like that, I just feel like it might be a really nice modality to add into, the different ways of helping people release for sure. So I love that. I'm definitely going to come to your club though at some point for sure. I'm going to make sure I do that and I'll be sharing that with everything as well. But to round off the podcast, I always like to do a soul to soul message. So I feel like whatever you feel called right now to share to whoever's listening, I'd love for you to just let your soul speak.
I would love to invite people to just be easier on themselves, just to lighten up and laugh more if that works, dance more if that's what they need, sing more, and just be grateful. I mean, there's 5 things you can do to add more joy to your life. You can smile. If smiling is hard, then that starts to secreting the love drugs already. A little giggle, you're secreting a little more. Singing, dancing, and then gratitude. Those 5 pieces are going to offer you a beautiful life, because things shift as soon as we're grateful for where we are, instead of moaning and complaining. If we're like, okay, maybe it's not perfect yet, but wow, it's pretty darn good.
I love that so much, and thank you for those 5 tips, because I think that's so important. So yeah, it's been so lovely to have you, Cathy. And yeah, for anyone that's listening that would love to get in contact with Cathy, I will pop her details in the show notes. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me, and have an incredible week.
Thank you so much, Sherisse. Thank you.
If this episode resonated with you, please do like, follow, and share with someone that you know would benefit. If you're looking to dive in deeper to becoming your most unapologetic, most authentic, shining self, please do head to my website and join my newsletter, where you'll find out about all of my upcoming events and speaking opportunities and all of the things that I have going on. And also, if you would like to work with me, please do drop me a DM on any of my socials or through my website. Love and light.